Hi, this is Mr. West, and today we're doing a tutorial video on inequality graphs. This is from mathdrills.com. Make sure to check out Mathdrills. They have amazing resources, and they're linked in the description below. Now, before we begin, I want to give some background information. We have inequality signs. So if this is your first time seeing an inequality sign, let me tell you what the main principle of it is. So the inequality sign opens up to the bigger value. So my second grade teacher reminded us that it's kind of like an alligator's mouth. It's going to eat the bigger number. And it doesn't matter which way it faces. It just wants to open up to the bigger number. For example, if I have a number over here and I have a 4 on this side, I could put a 2 on the left side, and that makes a true statement. Now, sometimes it doesn't make a true statement, and therefore you need to change something or something's wrong. So, for example, this would be incorrect. 5 is not less than 1. That's not true, okay? So we would have to make sure that it makes a true statement by always eating the bigger number. Now, this top one, okay, we have those lines underneath it. So this is actually a true statement. I know 5 is not less than 5, but because it has this equal to sign underneath, it's like a combination of the two. 5 could be equal to 5, and that also is a true statement. That is not true underneath. If I put 5 as less than 5, notice how it doesn't have that equal to sign. It's just a less than sign. That is not true. 5 is not less than 5, so that is an incorrect statement, and that would not be true. To graph this, to show this graphically, anytime it is a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to sign, you're going to fill in the dot of the graph, and that just shows that that value is included. 5 would be included, whereas this one is an open circle to show that would not be included. The final component to graphing or reading a graph is anytime it's less than, and you'll see here that all these values here, they're not being eaten by the alligator. They're less than, and see how they're on different sides. It doesn't matter. They're not being eaten. They are less than, okay? So we would graph or shade to the left. And any that are being eaten by the alligator, so this X is being eaten, the Y, the M, and the N, it's all opening up to them, that's greater than, and you would graph to the right. And that's a way that we can identify how to read these graphs or how to write the inequalities. Let's go ahead and start with number 1. So number 1, the first thing you're always going to do with any of these is you're just going to write the number down. So I like to write the variable on the left personally, so I'm just going to go ahead and reserve this space on the right for my number, and I can look here and I see it is the number 1. My second clue, okay, so I'm done with the first step. Second clue is I'm looking at what type of inequality. Because it's a, what is it? It's an open circle, that's what it was. I know I'm going to use either this one or this one, okay? So it's an open circle. I need to use one of those types of values, okay? So I know it's going to be either this one or this one. Now, the third step is which direction is the line being graphed? It's going to the right, so it's a greater than. That means my variable needs to be eaten by the alligator. So I'm going to make my variable over here, let's just make it y for this first one, and I want it to be greater than, so y is greater than 1, and it's because I'm graphing it to the right. And again, let me show it down here. If you want to pause this screen and understand this, write this down, that's great. But greater than, okay, eaten by the alligator, is going to go to the right. Now, why is that? Well, we can plug in, this is like my part 2 version of explaining this type of problem. We could plug in values here. So let's say I plugged in let's make it negative 5 here. I want to plug in negative 5 into my variable to see if it makes a true statement. Is negative 5 greater than 1? It is not. Therefore, I know negative 5 cannot be part of the solution. The graph can't be over here. Conversely, I could test a point over here to the right. Let's check, 10. Is 10 bigger than 1? Question mark. It is. 10 is bigger than 1. So I know this value, 10, and all the values to the right of 1 are going to be solutions. Keep in mind that 1 is not bigger than 1. That's why it's an open circle, just wanted to remind you. And that's it. That's all there is to writing these inequalities, okay? So if we were to speed this process up, which I know you guys don't want to go through all of that for each one of these questions, let's go ahead and show you. I'm going to jump down to number 3. Number 3, we have another open circle, and it's at -6. So I'm going to write -6 on the right. And notice how we're going to the right. We're going greater than. Okay, so that means my variable, let's call it m this time. It doesn't matter what letter it is going to be greater than -6, and I'm done. That's all there is to it. Let's go on to number 2. Number 2, I skipped it initially. I'm coming back to it. We're going to write down our value that the circle is on, 1. This time, it is a closed circle, which means it needs to be either this or this. 1 can be included in the solution. Okay, so 1 is less than or equal to 1. Okay, that's true. Okay, it's because it's equal to it. Now, notice how I'm going to the left for my values. Okay, so I'm going to the left. That means less than. That means my variable cannot be eaten by the alligator. And I need my equal to symbol underneath, and that's going to be my answer. Again, if you wanted to test a point, I could test a point. Let's try something to the right, like the number 3. Is 3 less than or equal to 1? It is not, therefore 3 is not. But if I tested something like -5 again, that this time is true, so it's part of the solution, which is why the graph is going through that point and not avoiding it. That's all I'm going to talk about today. If you have questions on 4 and 5, let me know, but they're pretty straightforward. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more like it, make sure to check out my math YouTube channel, and I look forward to seeing you next time right here on Wes Explains Best.